All right, my fellow network engineers, today we're actually going to be messing with csr1000v. It is a virtualized instance of kind of like the ASR1001X. One of my favorites. It's very simple to use, very straightforward. You can load it into a VM workstation, a freeware. You can have multiple sessions going, and you can really emulate probably just about any networking situation scenario you'd like here. So today, we are going to walk through the steps to actually set up a capture on a CSR1000. These same commands can be executed on an ASR, and it's something I actually use today with some of my customers. And believe me, when you have the ability to run captures at points of the network, especially when there's issues going on, and be able to export that capture to Wireshark for analysis, you are a very valuable player in the mix, okay? So what you'll see here on my screen, CSR1000v, basically the first thing you want to do is I want to establish a extended ACL that defines what I want to capture, right? So we'll get into global config. For this particular example, I'm going to make it very easy. I'm going to do extended ACL, and I'm going to permit IP any because I really want to capture everything at this point. This is my own computer. It's not in a production environment or even a lab environment. So there's not going to be much traffic traversing this device, really none at all, unless I initiate it myself. In production, you want to be careful. There isn't risk of you disrupting services by running a capture and capturing everything. It's just that whatever it is you were chasing down, whatever problem you're trying to resolve, you're likely not going to catch that traffic, that relevant traffic, because you're going to be capturing so much. So be very specific with your ACL here. But for this scenario, we'll do IP any, okay? Once you've done that, now we set up the actual capture, okay? And that syntax is monitor, and I like to abbreviate everything where I can because it just makes sense. Capture, and then I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it good old capping, okay? And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to point to the ACL that I just created. So we called it buffer cap or buff cap. Now the next line of syntax is going to be what interface do I want to capture on? And again, guys, I'm doing this on a CSR1000v. This can be done on an ASR, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's great. So on this CSR1000v, I'm going to use G1, okay? And then I want both directions. You can pick in or out if you'd like. And then I set the buffer. I'm going to work circular. You can set the buffer size to 10 megs, 100 megs, whatever it is that you think is appropriate for your situation. But in this situation, I'm just going to do circular, okay? So once the capture is set up, I can actually look at the parameters that they capture by doing a show monitor capture and then the cap in, the name of the capture here. And you can see here that it's it really is pretty straightforward to follow. You can see I've set up a capture on G1 in both directions. It's inactive right now. I'm going to enable it here shortly and show you how to do that. I point it to a access list called buff cap. Now, minor note on that, you can't use a standard access list. You cannot. And you cannot use an extended access list with a number. It has to be with a name, okay? So just make a note of that. And the buffer type is circular. All right, so now I want to actually turn on my capture. Monitor, capping, and start. It'll give me a confirmation and it has started. And if I want to look at that capture, I'm going to do a show monitor capture or caption, cap in, buffer. And you have options there. You can do a real detailed dump or a detail. You can do what's equivalent to a dump, or in my case, I just want to do a brief, right? So right now, you can see I'm sending out, looks like multicast traffic, UDP, out to .23 and .21, okay? And you can see there, it starts to grow pretty fast, and it, as you can imagine in a production environment, the buffer's gonna fill up pretty fast, okay? So I've got just a small section here of a command prompt. You can see that's the IP of my local machine, okay? And what I like to do is I like to go ahead and ping that and see if I can get a response. And I believe I set up the NIC correctly earlier, so let's see if I can get it. Okay, so I can ping my machine from my csr1000v. And then if I look at my capture and I use the pipe command, which you all should be familiar with that, let's go ahead and see, okay, great. Now I'm seeing two-way traffic between my machine and the csr1000v. You can see there, sending out broadcast traffic, actually broadcast traffic, UDP traffic, IGMP, which is very popular, is coming in from my machine .72. And then, yeah, ICMP traffic there at the top, okay? So once you've done that, there's a couple of other things that you can do that I actually exercise myself, and that is if I want to export this for a PCAP, I can do that. You can see there, it's monitor, cap, and export, and then I tell it, okay, where do I want to send it? And this should be look very familiar to most of you who have done an export or import for TFTP or SCP. Very simple, right? So I want to define that. And let's say that's my TFTP server, and then I give it a file name .pcap. It will arrive at that server that's running TFTP with that PCAP extension, okay? Then from there, you can actually grab it, ingest it into a Wireshark, and do analysis. Now, depending on how large the capture is, it will take a while. And I've done it before where I've initiated an export and I had to open up another PuTTY session to continue working as that export is working because it was so large. I think it was like 20 megs, but that's it, guys. And then of course, once you are done, I always recommend to turn it off. So it's going to be monitor, cap, and stop. You'll get a confirmation. And then of course you can leave your access list in there, but I always like to clean that stuff up. So I'm going to pull that access list out. Okay. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel, hit the notifications button, and comment below. Love to hear your input. Thanks.